To you, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this newscast. We begin with the headlines. About 100,000 Nigerian refugees are said to have been illegally deported from Cameroon. This is news from the Human Rights Watch, considered a breach of international law. In another story, universal access to education has been reiterated and instituted by UNESCO. Focus this year was on general information, which is still an uphill task. Those were our headlines. Once again, you're welcome to this newscast. My name is Rahel Leabia for presentation. Human Rights Watch says some 100,000 Nigerian refugees have been illegally deported from Cameroon. This, according to the rights group, is a breach of international law. Philip Sote went through the report and put together this report.
The report places the blame squarely on the shoulders of the Cameroonian army. They are accused of aggressively screening newly arriving Nigerians at the border, subjecting some to torture and other forms of abuse, and containing them in far-flung and underserviced border villages. The UN Refugee Agency goes further to say that the policy of blocking asylum seekers from accessing protection has made it easier for Cameroon to deport them. According to the report, expulsions since 2015 were one of the largest illegal forced repatriations it has seen in recent years and were in flagrant breach of global and Cameroonian law. Boko Haram militants have killed tens of thousands in their fight to carve out an Islamist state in northeastern Nigeria. The violence has forced hundreds of thousands to flee, many across the border into Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. Cameroon signed a treaty in March with Nigeria and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees to ensure that all refugees returned are voluntary, but the rights group Human Rights Watch says Cameroon's violations has continued. Nigeria, for its part, is currently struggling to cope with millions of people dependent on emergency relief for food, shelter, and medicine. Cameroon, on the other hand, has not been at ease containing the thousands of refugees who escaped the Boko Haram insurgency, taking refuge, especially in Minawao, North Cameroon.
Preparations into competitive public examinations are carried out in different forms. While some go for extra classes, others go for handouts to help them through the examination. Raimatu CKB, student journalist, went down to some of these sales points for more details.
Orientation and examination handout for the preparation of competitive exams can be seen around Ange Raphael, with candidates scrambling to buy. The launching of competitive exams to recruit candidates in some higher institutions for the 2017-2018 academic year has called for candidates to prepare this exam, though they believe that to have an entrance, you must have money or a relationship. While some candidates attend preparatory classes, some go for these handouts written by lecturers of different universities. Exams like ENS, ESSEC, ERIC, among others, need candidates to have at least an advanced level or a bachelor degree. According to this vendor, business is timid because of the late launching of these exams and the absence of customers to buy. He added that these handouts are very important because it reveals the past questions of various exams and its answers.
I'm trying to buy a book which can help me to prepare for for my exam, to my concours for the ENS of Marwa. I want to do the concours because my goal is to be a teacher. So since I tried, but I failed, but I'm still continuing to try. So we don't know the time of God is coming.
This handout is important because with them you can work in state institutions and thus have a matricle. Nevertheless, for you to have this matricle, you need to prepare either by reading these handouts or by attending preparatory classes.
Meanwhile, the International Day for Universal Access to Educational Institution has been observed, and this day was instituted by UNESCO with access to information, generally speaking, which is still an uphill task. Amadou Jalobuba with the details.
Quality information is primordial in the development of any human society. It is for this reason that media persons in Cameroon joined their counterparts worldwide to commemorate this September 28th as International Day for Universal Access to Information. UNESCO set aside this day so as to give global access to information to all. However, there are still some constraints despite legislations put in place for various reasons, be it for the purpose of preserving the secrets of the enterprise or the state for security reasons, as the case may be. In some situations, it is for health reasons that must remain confidential. There is equally bias that exists in the way state officials handle or view media organs. They give privilege to some few media organs, or the state media is given an absolute advantage to certain information. Taking part in activities marking a day set aside for access to information is a step towards the right direction in reducing the constraints being encountered by journalists in accessing information.
We talk health in this newscast. Zero case of rabies was the theme that commemorated the 2017 edition of World Day Against Rabies. As retained by the World Health Organization, a vaccination and sensitization campaign was organized recently at the Yaoundé Regional Delegation for Animal Husbandry. Francis Bongo was there and he completes that story.
Dogs are usually referred to be very close friends to man, but this first-class pet, seen as lovely companions, can become dangerous when attained by the deadly disease called rabies. It was thus under the theme Rabies, Zero Case by 2030 that Cameroon celebrated this year's World Day Against Rabies. To observe the day in the country, a vaccination campaign of domestic animals was launched this Thursday in veterinaries of the Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry. Here at the National Veterinary Laboratory of Vogbetsi in Yaoundé, experts sensitized the public on the fact that rabies kills and invited them to vaccinate all domestic animals so as to protect their families. Focus was placed particularly on children who are more vulnerable to contact the disease due to their constant interactions with the animals.
You know, our children are the more exposed to rabies since they don't play with dogs every day, they don't keeping dogs at home, take care of dogs. And those that belong to families where there are no pets, they usually play around with stray dogs, stoning them, kicking them, whipping them, flocking them. And as a defense mechanism, a dog can bite, a child can get bitten by a dog. So we are advising parents to educate children that they should take good care of dogs, they should administer instead good treatment, they should not maltreat animals, and then we parents, we should know we are responsible for our children. If our animals are not well taken care of, our children are exposed. The target is to be able to wipe out rabies from the whole world between 2030, and that is an assignment. OIE, that is the Animal World Organization, OMS, that is the WHO, World Health Organization. They came together to give themselves that assignment, and they are sensitizing all the national and international opinion that we should all mobilize ourselves to fight against rabies.
Being for more than a year without a dog receiving vaccines is very risky, and some parents are aware of this danger.
Rabies they are very dangerous disease in community, and when you have dogs and you live with children, anything can happen at any time. It becomes very dangerous if your dog is not vaccinated. So once you vaccinate your dog, you are at least free of certain dangers.
If beaten, rabies can be contracted by all warm-blooded mammals, including man and other animals. Of date, the deadly disease is difficultly cured but can always be prevented. So let's be cautious and always go to the hospital whenever we suffer a pet bite.
A similar campaign took place here in Douala, and of course we'll be having details in the course of this newscast. Municipal authorities from some councils in the littoral and southwest region have been drilled on social waste management in Kongsamba. The two-day seminar was coordinated by the Water Supply and Sanitation Project in Semi-Urban Environment. Mange Venasius with the details.
Council authorities from some areas in the littoral and southwest regions came together in a workshop to acquire skills in the management of solid waste in their municipalities. This capacity building specifically concerns the upgrading of the skills of the technical staff of the municipalities involved in solid waste management operations in Kumba and Kongsamba urban councils, alongside Manjo, Mbanga, Lum and Mamfe councils. Coordinated by the Water Supply and Sanitation Project in Semi-Urban Environment, this project has the duty to supply a stock of materials to 19 councils to enable them collect, transport and manage solid waste. These equipment are made up of 33 tractors, 161 garbage dumpsters or tippers and other security equipment. Participants confirmed having been drilled on the question of solid waste management.
The seminar was quite an enriching one, given that we have had this fundamental problem of waste management in councils and in urban councils and semi-urban areas. And I think the coming in of the World Bank and the Ministry of Water, Resources and Energy is a welcome relief to some of us, especially somebody coming from Kumba that I am, where we've had this problem for quite some time.
However, they encountered the problem of language barrier for some.
Even the presentation and everything from what the director said here, look at my colleagues here, nobody has opened they have not registered anything. What are they going back with? So my appeal says that if we can have a translator, everything here is in the French, let's have the presentation now in English. At least we are in a bilingual country.
These participants received the assurance of the Minister of Water and Energy to follow up the project up to its realization. A call was made to the councils to be given equipment to appropriate and conduct a rational and rigorous management of the equipment. The two-day workshop from the 25th to the 26th September took place at the Kongsamba Urban Council to support the municipalities for a better management of their heritage.
The Cameroon National Road Transport Trade Union is expanding its activities in the northern regions of Cameroon to supervise the activities in Tuboro subdivision. A management team was recently installed to oversee a new opened SNTRC Bureau. This was under the leadership of the National Vice President Al-Aj Yunusa Isa Marwa. Williams Amuawa with the details.
The activities of lorry drivers in Tuburu in the north region of Cameroon has been visible for a long time. The number of these road transporters keep increasing since the launch of road transportation from Ngaoundéré to Mundu. Fighting against unconventional practices in the sector, the poor state of roads and the harassment drivers face from men of the underworld are the principal objectives of the Cameroon's National Road Transporters Union. To the SNTRC, it is all about enabling road transporters and other stakeholders to work hand in gloves. Some presidents here from different transporter syndicates decided to come together in order to work as one. We have come to install cell members of Tuburu. All the transporters are expected to respect and rally behind the president. With the implementation of a cell in this subdivision, the non-respect of loading and offloading deadline, plus the establishment of false documents for transit would be a thing of the past. You all know that to cross the borders, you meet 4 elements. 1. Customs, which verifies document. 2. BGFT, which confirms. 3. the gendarmerie, which certifies, and lastly the police, which guides you to cross the borders. The other administrative units have little or no protocol to follow, and we wish that from this moment that which the Prime Minister signed be fully respected. We also expect that all those engaged in this sector should put this on. We call it formal agent, and they would facilitate your crossing the borders. Usumanu Belaji and his team are ready to get afield in this zone that breaks the boundaries between three countries, Cameroon, Chad, and the Central African Republic. I count on collaborating with administrative and traditional authorities, customs, forces of law and order, and other stakeholders. I would also help the drivers when the need arises. The newly installed team of Tuburu, led by the National Vice President of SNTRC, proceeded to meet administrative and traditional authorities, forces of law and order, not leaving out custom authorities.
The new divisional officer for Belabo has the task of ensuring law and order in his municipality and to ensure the reservation of the forest, stopping illegal exploits. This assignment was given to him by the senior divisional officer during the installation ceremony, in which the locals expressed some worries as to the subdivision. Falan Meduke.
Mr. Rebecca has taken over as the new divisional officer for Belabo from Mr. Mebenga Yaya, a locality in the East region. This was in an installation ceremony that brought together locals, traditional rulers and administrators of the subdivision, chaired by the senior divisional officer SDO for Lom and Jerem, Yves Bertrand Awumfa Kalinu, with an estimated population of about 30,000 people. The new chieftain has the task of ensuring law and order, being that the East region is noted for high banditry and other ills. Those equally exploiting the reserve forest must equally be brought to book. Belabo is a land flowing with milk and honey. Unfortunately, the locals do not tap from their natural resources. Poor road network, no electricity are some of the worries the people think the new deal will have to redress.
We are so happy to receive our SDO who is coming to be with us. We have so many problems in Belabo. There is no energy. We have so many problems. We wish that authorities can do so many things to bring us to be up in Belabo.
Before his transfer to this subdivision, this product of the 2001 batch of ENAM has served in different capacities in various areas, the last being the due for Bana in the Opankam West region. Hope he will follow the footsteps of his predecessors, whom many have appreciated.
We take you out of the country, where Kenya's electoral board is still facing a lot of controversies as the country prepares for a rerun of the presidential camp 26th of October 2017. The opposition has decided on a constant protest till officials of the electoral board are replaced, including the CEO. Details, VOA.
Kenya's opposition says it will boycott the rerun of the presidential election if officials from the Electoral Commission, or IEBC, are not replaced.
IEBC cannot begin the process of ensuring an honest election as long as those responsible for the irregularities and illegalities are still lacking in its corridors. IEBC has refused to dismiss or suspend them. That is why we are today beginning this peaceful campaign to force them out by public pressure so that the process of fair elections can at last begin.
Confidence in the IEBC hit a new low with the nullification of the August 8th presidential election results. Meanwhile, President Uhuru Kenyatta has taken aim at the Supreme Court justices, calling them thugs and accusing them of a judicial coup after they annulled his win. Yet he is still pledging to comply with the judgment. In that ruling, the Supreme Court highlighted the IEBC's refusal of a court order to open its computer servers.
Leaves us with no option but to accept the petitioner's claims that the IEBC's IT system was infiltrated and compromised, and the data therein interfered with, or IEBC's officials themselves interfered with the data or simply refused to accept that it had bungled the whole transmission system and were unable to verify the data.
The IEBC's forays into technology have been anything but smooth. In 2013, Kenya held its first elections using biometric voter verification kits. But a breakdown in the system led to a delayed announcement of Kenyatta as winner, with a narrow margin of 50.07% of the vote. Odinga took election rigging accusations to court that year too, but lost. In August 2017, the IEBC stumbled again, this time failing to produce the paper verifications of electronically transmitted results.
If there is a need to remove from within the IBC the human elements that are responsible for the improprieties that occurred, then that really needs to happen with proper focus. And continued squabbling and finger pointing and blaming is just pushing us closer and closer to the precipice.
IEBC commissioners were replaced in January after the opposition had taken to the streets in weekly demonstrations, accusing the commissioners of bias. The Constitution gives the Electoral Commission until the end of October to organize a new election. The rerun polls are scheduled for October 26th. Jill Craig, VOA News, Nairobi.
But now Kenya's ruling Jubilee Party on Thursday presented Parliament with proposals intended to prevent the Supreme Court from annulling the results of a coming rerun presidential election, as it did at the last vote in August. And Jubilee's proposed amendments to election law would stop the court from.
Well, in another story, we're talking Nigeria. Health workers in northeast Nigeria are said to be on the heels to contain the outbreak of cholera, which is sweeping through camps of people, displaced persons. According to UN report, about 4,000 suspected cases have been identified, including 54 deaths. VOA.
Including 54 deaths. The UN says about 1.8 million people have fled their homes due to Boko Haram violence or food shortages, and nearly 3/4 of them are now in cholera hotspots. Médecins Sans Frontières says while the outbreak started in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, the number of cholera cases is increasing rapidly in the nearby town of Monguno and Dikwa. A major vaccination campaign by UNICEF is currently underway to prevent the epidemic from spreading further.
There are a lot of challenges around a cholera outbreak because it's a waterborne disease, so that is spreading around very quickly when it's rainy season, and it's worsened by the fact that the poor sanitary condition in the camps where the IDPs are living today in Maiduguri town and around the area. So there are a lot of factors which are not helping the situation. So today there's a lot of challenges. It requires a lot of resources and a lot of coordination within the different actors in the area.
We are trying to contain it. So the objective is to get as many people vaccinated as possible, as soon as possible. So we are targeting 900,000 people in the camps and in the surrounding communities. We'll give a first dose, and later on, when we have doses, when access permits, we'll give a second dose.
Health authorities are encouraging people to report suspected cases of cholera as soon as possible. Failing to do so is hindering efforts to contain the outbreak.
We told you in the course of the news, we're going to give you details of the people or those in the littoral region with dogs as pets who are also campaigning for a zero case of rabies. Of course, they took part in a sensitization campaign in commemoration of the global celebration of the 2017 edition of World Day Against Rabies. Williams Amoawa.
While rabies is a 100% preventable disease, thousands of people die from the disease around the world each day, surely as a result of ignorance.
Rabies is a disease which can be a viral disease which can be transmitted from animals to human, and which once in human is deathful. It means when an animal catches rabies, he can be sure to die if some measures are not taken urgently. So it's a disease transmitted by animal and mostly by dogs, cats, and maybe monkeys and other mammals.
Before a human being is eliminated from planet Earth as a result of dog-transmitted rabies, the following symptoms usually manifest.
And rabies, the main sign is like nervous sign. The man becomes very anxious, he becomes very excited, he can run after water. When he sees water, he runs, and sometimes he can even bark like a dog.
Though rabies remains a significant health problem in many countries of the world, rabies prevention and control is possible.
It cannot be cured in humans. So the best way is to prevent the transmission between animals and humans. It means we have to vaccinate all dogs, all cats, all monkeys around in our neighborhood. And we also need to advise people to know what to do while they see stray animals. You know why children comes from school, most of the time they used to send stones to stray dogs, which can sometimes bite them and which expose them to rabies.
A case of rabies might not have been recorded in the littoral region, but that did not stop dog owners from answering presents to participate in the rabies advocacy.
The fact that we don't have cases in the littoral, it doesn't mean that the disease is not there. That's why we launched this vaccination campaign that we started by the sensitization, and we went down to the school, primary schools, to sensitize those small children that they should know exactly that the disease is there. And at the same time today, during this day, what we did is that we had a conference on rabies where we have all the stakeholders that are part of the fight against this disease, and we launched the vaccination campaign itself that is going to take place from now to the 3rd of October.
Rabies, zero case by 2030, is the theme that guides the 2017 edition of the World Rabies Day, which is observed every September 28th.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our newscast this evening. You don't go away because programs continue. We'll meet again tomorrow, God willing. Good night.